You're listening to It's All Good, Magic, Mysticism, and Earth Medicine. Check us out by visiting www.magicandmedicine.blogspot.com. I'm your host, Dr. Candace Nadine Breen.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I am your Mystic Queen, Dr. Candace Nadine Breen. And hello. So this is my first live recording, which is exciting, I suppose. And I don't expect a whole bunch of people to listen in, but don't worry, you can listen in after the fact. So here we are, February. February is Black History Month, which is, as an African-American woman, I have a lot of issues with February being Black History Month. And not only is this the shortest month, but up here, it is also one of the coldest months up here in New England. So that's the way it is. It looks like I have someone coming in. So let me just see. There's one person in, so I don't know what to do. Say hi. Okay, so there's one person who is online. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
All right, I'm going to start recording, so you could just listen in. Thanks for coming.
I am for India.
Oh, hello.
One song and replay supporter.
Yes, everything is just A-okay. So what I'm going to do is try to put you on mute so I can actually finish the show. So, but thanks for listening in.
Thank you. Hello.
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm trying to.
Justin Bieber song.
All right. Okay, people. So here we are talking again about this here being Black History Month, and it being. Hold on, I'm going to have to disconnect, and he's going to have to come back in. All right, and this being Black History Month, and it being a very difficult time in regards to those of us who are African American and who live in this community, pagan community, mystic community, Wicca community, whichever community you put yourself in. But the hard thing is trying to fit in, and also being ostracized in these groups because being an African American and being a woman. Now, thank you. Now, thank you so much for your comment. You are super. That's awesome. I'm sorry if I disconnected you. It's just that I'm learning how to use a live call and learning how to put people's mics off so that I could talk and not everyone's talking over me. So that's one of the issues with this new Podbean has this new thing on about live calling. It's not like Blog Talk Radio, so it's a little bit different. But anyway, let's continue. So, all right. So it is very different. So myself, I'll give you a little bit about my background for those of you who don't know me. Growing up, with parents who were descendants of slaves, what they have, what the church was very important in their lives. Now, what a lot of these people who are descendants of slaves and who lived in the South don't know is that Christianity was forced upon them. My ancestors, when they were brought here to America as slaves, they came from West Africa and they brought with them all of their culture and their practices, which were considered pagan, but they didn't call it pagan. They just called it earth, earth. That's what it is. It's part of life. It's earth. Taking care of earth is nothing wrong. It's not a religion. It's just a way of life. But anyway, the practices of my ancestors were brought here. I mean, when they were brought here, they were forced. They were seen as evil, and because Christianity was the dominant religion at the time, the slaves, some of them were beaten, some of them were killed if they didn't take on or convert to Christianity. So what a lot of the slaves did, because they wanted to live, was that they intermixed some of their culture with Christianity, like some of the songs, the soul songs and all of that. They intermixed it so they wouldn't get caught. And the slave owners and slave masters just thought, the slave masters and slave owners just began to think that, okay, they're doing what they're supposed to, we don't have to kill them. And, that's what my people did. And so they passed it down so that a lot of Black Americans think that is part of that is them. That is their origin. That is who they are. And they've adopted it. I mean, there's some strong Black Baptist churches. I know I was in them thinking that was what I need to do, but I still felt disconnected because I couldn't really get with taken on a religion that was beat into my ancestors, and that was beat into my ancestors, and that what can I say? Some of my ancestors were killed because they chose to honor their culture and their religion from whence they came. So it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing when I think about it. And that's why I just can't embrace Christianity. I tried Catholicism. I tried, hello, people for calling. I tried Protestant and all of these other things. And there, I still know a lot of African Americans who are still with, and I'm not insulting, and I don't mean to insult them, but I just can't get with a way of life that oppressed my ancestors. I just can't. And it also, because the way I am definitely does not fit in those types of religions. I saw this quote somewhere. Love, nature is my church. Love is my religion. And that's how I don't claim any religion or anything like that, and no religion can claim me. So that's how I feel. I like being open and free, and I have all my mixes. I pray, I meditate. I mean, I don't pray to some divine being or some omnipotent being, and I dance and I sing and I do my rituals to celebrate the different seasons. I am so in tune with the earth and my natural surroundings. I enjoy that. But you see, some of these religions some of these, the greater religions that are the mainstream call it pagan. And then when you're an African American and you try to find other people who are like you, it's hard. Especially here in my place where I live. I live in Rhode Island. And let me tell you, there's not many me. I've met one, another African-American woman who shares similar practices like I do, so similar way of life, like I have. And it's even more, if I were a white woman, I'd probably, there's plenty to choose from. I mean, even though some of these groups are male led, but I see more and more women who are leading. And that's it's very encouraging. The problem is that I'm usually the only African-American person. When I was ministering at the Spiritualist Church, I was the only African-American. And although I loved the spiritualism and I studied it and I incorporated it into my life, I still can't put myself in that box because I just like to be free and I like to honor the earth the way I choose to. And those people who are texting me, who are sending messages on the live feed, thank you and hello. And I live in Rhode Island, as I said, during this talk, and I'm just rambling on and on during this live show. which I feel is very important because it is February and it is Black History Month. And I don't like that every day should be Black History Day. Every day should be whatever culture you are day. Celebrate who you are all the time. And that's what I do. And that's what I have done. And I enjoy that. And yes, it has caused me to get looks. It has caused me to get stares. It has caused some people to walk away from me, to think I'm gross. I mean, I'm this, medium tone African-American woman who has extremely long dreadlocks that are now past my bum. But my goal is to, I'm hoping that they will grow down to my ankles, but whatever, it's still what it is. And sometimes I like to put temporary dye on my dreads. Right now I have blue and gold. And people look, and I don't care because I really like it and I don't care. And I am who I am and I'm free to be who I am. And I celebrate all of my aspects. And again, being the way that I am usually causes me to be alone a lot of the time, which is okay because I don't feel alone. I do a lot of work from home. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and we have this beautiful property and where I grow my garden and where I can be in love with nature and experience nature and be in with nature, and it's quiet and it's private. And it's just really nice when I go for my walks in the morning. It's lovely. And I usually don't think of my color until someone makes me aware of my color. Like my husband is white. He is Irish and French Canadian and a little English, I think. And we were best friends before we got married. And I don't really think of it until someone reminds me that I'm unusual. I don't fit in. And then that's where it comes, that I'm an African American woman and that it's very hard to be accepted for all my differences and my uniqueness. And when people hear the word pagan, I don't really like the word to use to label myself with words, but if someone had to describe me, they could use mystic or pagan. And even those would ostracize me. Would cause me to people have a negative, because of history, people have a negative view about paganism. And the Christian Bible talks very badly about paganism. I think there was somewhere in the Bible, I believe there's a scene where Moses goes up to get the 10 Commandments and he's up there talking to God, who's a burning bush, I think. And meanwhile, while he's up there talking to God, getting the 10 Commandments, all the people down below are dancing and celebrating, and they're making a golden calf, and they're putting offerings, giving offerings to the calf and everything. And then when Moses comes back down, he's like, what are you guys doing with this pagan behavior? And then God, the Almighty God, gets mad, and I believe he set this fire, and the ground splits open and people fall in the ground and they die. I mean, that's horrible. That is so horrible. I mean, the message that a Christian person would get from that is, if you're a pagan, you're going to hell, you're going to burn. It's not like I'm a Satanist. First of all, I don't believe in Satan. That's a Christian creation. And I know other people who hold the same belief, other people who call themselves pagans or mystics or witches or Wiccans, sorry. They call themselves the same thing. They say, look, this is not devil worship, and we don't believe in Satan. That's a Christian creation to keep people in line, to keep them following Christianity, and say, like, look, if you don't listen to us, if you don't follow what we're doing, you are going to burn in hell. And I just can't get with that. That's just, to me, that makes no sense. It's not right. So And then some people that I know, some African American women, and I know a lot of them who are like real knee deep and into like the Baptist church or any of the black churches. They're still, they tolerate me, still sort of be friends, but they always say, "Oh, I'm praying for you. Stop looking for answers elsewhere and look to God," and da da da. And I have to tell them, look, don't pray for me. Pray for yourself, okay? Because I'm not doing anything wrong. And it's as in any religion, to me, that thinks they're better than anyone else's beliefs or practices and condemns the person who says, if you don't listen, I'm the right. And if you don't listen to me, you're going to hell. Anything that talks that way, I have nothing to do with. I do not like that. We're always trying to divide ourselves and separate ourselves. And that's what some of these organized religions, I'm not going to say all of them, but some of these mainstream organized religions, the big ones, and Christianity, one of the big ones, okay? To an extent, Islam. I can't speak on Islam because I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know a lot about Christianity. And because I've been there, and I have been booted out of many Christian edifices, you want to say, because I did not digest their message. And because I chose to be more free, I remember when I was real big into a Black Baptist church, one of the biggest ones here in the state, I was told that because I was meditating, and because I was meditating, I was evil. I was sitting out on my back then, I had a beautiful deck over the water, and I'd sit out there and just fill myself with the essence of nature and meditate and everything. And I brought this up at a church meeting, and the pastor told me that if I was not reading the Bible and meditating on the Bible, I was going to hell. Wow, that's lovely. So because I'm sitting in nature and just letting my mind go free because I wasn't reading the Bible at the time, I'm going to hell. And, being a Black woman who felt this way in a Black Baptist church was so taboo. Everyone wanted to lay hands on you. Everyone wanted to pray for you. They thought I needed help. I was going to hell and going fast. And I wasn't free to be and believe the way I wanted to. That's why in a lot of Black communities, I mean, look at Tyler Perry's movies, and the movies that Tyler Perry made. Black people, Black church, Black singing. Oh yes, I love to sing. I was a great singer there in the various choirs I was in. I was an alto, and I was strong, and I was good, and I've always loved to sing, and that's one thing that made me so conflicted is I just wanted to sing. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to sing. But then even some of the songs that were singing, I started to be so conflicted. And I had to get out. I had to leave. My number was up anyway. They were figuring me out. Same thing with the other places that I've tried. And so when you are an African American, like a lot of people assume that they'll say to me, "Oh, Black people can sure sing. I love their churches and blah blah blah." And I look at them and say, "Yeah, that's true, but I'm not in the Black church." And then they lose interest. So, being an African American and an African American woman, and not being a Baptist or a church Methodist or African Methodist church or any of those that are now typically seen as a Black religion, what a part of the Black culture, which is totally not. When I'm seeing, when they look at me and they see that I'm not part of the mainstream, all of that, being an African American woman who does not fit into one of those black churches, then there must be something wrong with me. In their minds, there's something wrong with her. And I'm the same person until they know that I do mostly earth culture, earth rituals and things like that. And I have abilities that I was born with and that I've had my entire life. I didn't ask for them. They're here and they're there. And that's it. Once people hear that, they think something's wrong with me. They want to call me a witch, which a lot of other people don't. It's really not an insult when you think about it, but unfortunately it was used in a derogatory manner. And that's what makes it bad for people to hurl names at you, because they turn a beautiful word into a bad thing. So, and in my family, there's a whole history of people who brought the culture over and still had some of the practices, and who also had different psychic abilities and other abilities. Earth medicine, used a lot of earth medicine. I remember some of the things that I was taught as a child of when someone would get sick, how to heal them, and things like that. I mean, I remember my father, even though he and I were not on great terms, but when we would get sick during the winter, he had to modernize some of the techniques to heal. And he would told us back when on the farm where he had his family was, etc. What they did was get a cloth, or cheesecloth if they had cheesecloth, which was expensive, so they had cloth, and they'd use cow dung. I'm serious, cow dung, and they would strain it into a tea. And when they were able to have access to alcohol, they put brandy in it, and you would drink it. You would drink it all down, and then you would go to bed, and you would be smothered with as many covers as they could put on you to sweat it out. And in the morning, you would be better. Now, when we were kids, of course, we didn't have cow dung. So what we use, and I still use this today, I use it occasionally for myself. I don't use it on my kids yet. But what you do now is you get cheesecloth, or you don't have to. You can just boil pine straw, pine needles. They call it pine straw because that's the country. So boil pine needles, and then you drain it, and you take that liquid and you pour it into a cup, a mug, whatever you're going to drink out of. You can mix it with tea if you want, so it's not so strong. And then you put in the brandy. I know, it's a couple of probably 2 tablespoons, depending upon how big the cup is. But if it's an average size cup, maybe a tablespoon and a half, you drink that sucker down, and you go to bed, and you put all the covers on, and you sweat it out. Like, especially if you have phlegm, and I know this is gross, but I'm telling you the truth. Especially if you have phlegm and you're going to bed, you sweat that out, and then you get up in the morning, you feel better. Wash all your sheets and stuff like that, and you feel great. And I'm telling you, it works. But that's one of the things that come from the old country. It's been modernized a little bit. And my family, on my father's side, we used to use it a lot in the country, and they had to use what they had access to. Didn't always have. They had brandy because they had access to it. But back in the old country, they didn't have that stuff, so they probably used some plant that was very put on that little toxic spin to it to make you a little woozy or pass out, go to sleep. But I don't know what the name of that plant was. So again, and the great thing is I know a lot of these ways, and I'm very grateful to have been taught those, to have observed them and be able to carry them and modernize them, etc. And I'm happy that earth medicine is part of who I am. Now, a lot of people look at it and like, ugh, why don't you just go to the drugstore? Because the drugstore is full of crap. So a lot of those things that they put in you is crap. I'm sorry, some of those medicines are not healthy for you. I just rather use the earth like my ancestors do. And I see a lot of gravitation towards that. Now, myself being a Black person again, no one wants to listen to me. Okay? being an African American person up here in the Northeast, there it is. It's very, very difficult to try to make an impression on other people, and a positive impression when it comes to earth medicine, earth magic, mysticism. And, I could help a lot of people with things that I've been taught, things that I've learned. Even with my garden here that I spend a lot of time in, and I love it. I love, love, love the bounty that the earth brings up. It's just the most beautiful experience next to childbirth. So after childbirth, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I have so much. There's so much people can learn if we get past, oh, she's not Christian. They're not Christian. We need to stop separating ourselves. And not just because, I'm not just saying this because it's Black History Month, but I'm saying it because it's Black History Month, and because I'm a Black woman, and because I can say this message in June, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I know that didn't make sense, but I tend to ramble sometimes. But that is actually how I feel, that when we get past these labels, these things that are intentionally created to divide us, and we try to learn from one another, let me tell you how beautiful that can be. When I became a master gardener years ago, and my children were both in the same elementary school, and I was stationed at their school to help with the garden. And here I was, an African-American woman. In my town, first of all, there's like 5 African-American people that are known. But it's okay. I've gotten over that a long time ago. And here I was helping with the garden. It was beautiful. Kids, I was sharing knowledge with the students and the teachers. And it was so awesome. It was so awesome. And teaching the kids how to take care of the earth. And they would even go home and practice these same things. So that was beautiful. No one saw me as Christian, blah, 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 blah. And because, they saw my skin color, maybe, but that's okay. But hey, they're like, oh, she's not a bad person. She's not one of these, hallelujah, I'm going to pray for you, hands on you person. I mean, I know people like that who every time you turn around, you see them and they're talking about how bad you are. They're seeing you, oh, thank you, praise God. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but don't try to don't put it on me as if I'm a bad person, and if I'm not following you, then I'm wrong. And no one's right and no one's wrong. What's wrong is separating yourself and being highly critical. No, that's not even the right way I want to say it. Telling the other person, if you don't follow me, then you're going to hell. I just think that's terrible. And I have a lot of problems with Christianity in regards to that. If your practice is not big enough to welcome everyone and to love everyone, regardless of their belief, then your practice is not for me. And that's how I feel. And I'm getting more comfortable. It's not as, I shouldn't say that because it makes it look like I'm complacent. But I understand the fear that some people have. For example, Christianity has always, in my opinion, operated out of fear. Fear when they came and, chopped off the Native Americans' hands for not converting to Christianity. I mean, it's all about fear and power. If you're not following me, then that's one less person that we have on our side. And we're going to have to threaten you in order to get you over here. That's horrible. That's horrible. And I wish that someone would tell people, would reveal to people when they go around trying to convert and evangelize around neighborhoods and stuff, I would wish someone would tell them, do you know what the origins of your practice? Do you know that, if your practice is so great, it should speak by itself. You shouldn't have to go out and grab people and threaten them. The threatening part I can't stand. Like those people with the Watchtower books, they walk around. I put no soliciting on our house because I mean they were coming like every week, telling us how bad we are and that we're going to hell and the end of times are coming. Come on, don't do fear. Don't put fear into all of this, that if we don't do this, then X, Y, and Z is going to happen. That's not the way to help anyone change their mind. Love is the answer to everything. That's my opinion. Show love is the answer to everything. I mean, I were in churches where, right from the podium, the pastor would talk about gay people, homosexuals. And you know what that did? That pushed them away. And I would sit there and I'd said, wow, there are some gay people right here in this congregation who are in the closet because they're afraid to come out because they won't be accepted for who they are, for their practice. And you end up losing them. And then they try to force, and especially if you're an African American man and you were in the Baptist church and you were gay, during my time when I was there, holy moly, you would be in so much trouble. And you would be in a whole lot of trouble. And that's horrible. You shouldn't have to feel that way. You should be there free to be with people, to love anyone, to celebrate life. And when you're called out like that, you'll know you're going to just walk away. You're going to leave. That's not welcoming that at all. That's condemning. You're pushing people away. That's one of the errors that I see these major religions making by shaming people and by using fear. I think that's horrible. And it's not helping anyone at all. At all. Now, I guess I got off on a topic. I guess I got off on a tangent here because I'm going without script during this live call because I was out for my walk and I was thinking about Black History Month and Black writers and all this stuff. And I thought I should get on and talk about this. That's really something that's really close to my heart, something that I experience on a daily basis because I'm an African American woman every single day. And people look at me and expect me to be a hallelujah sister, from since I have Southern roots, which, Southerners are known for, Black Baptist and blah, 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 and all of that. And they assume that that's what I'm all about. And I said, no, I'm not. And it took me a while. I struggled through all of these different religious denominations to try to find a place to call home. And I didn't find one. I went right back to nature where I started because when I was a kid and a young person, that's what I do. I was a nature person and feeling free again and back out there with nature. It's right. There's no one asking me for tithes. And no one telling me that if I don't tithe, I'm going to hell. And there's no one forbidding me from taking communion because I am the way I am. And that's okay. I don't feel that the trees are judging me and looking at me. I feel comfortable when I put my bare feet into the ground, into the grass. It feels welcoming. I can feel the love around me. And I may not have an entire community of other people who share this, who happen to be African American and female, but that's okay. It's okay. Sometimes it can be difficult, but it's okay because then it makes me be the face of this this new, I don't know, thing. That's not really new, but be the face of this. I'm losing my words. I don't even know what. But the face makes me be the new face, a face out here in this community that represents African American women who practice earth medicine and as a way of life, and earth magic and earth medicine as a way of life. It's part of all of our cultures. If we all just go back far enough, we'll find it, because before technology, before people were able to make pills and medicines in factories and then distribute them worldwide and have them at your pharmacy, etc., what did people do? They had the nature around them and they used what was around them. And in its purest form, it is the most beneficial thing for us. They learned about plants. They were very connected with Earth. Now, you can say what you want about global warming, but global warming is real. And we are consuming without replacing. We are cutting down trees without planting trees. And those trees are so important. Tree medicine is such an essential part of our lives, not only for air, clean air, but also for it's their healing powers. And if we just take time to learn by engaging with them, then we would see the error of our ways and learn how to reuse, recycle, and cut down on the waste and destruction of our planet. Now, in an African village, back in the day, the tree played a central role in the village. The first tree that grew in the center of the village was the holy tree. Holy is a sacred tree. And it would grow as the community grows. It represented the community growing, children being born and things like that. And people would spend time with the tree to get to know the tree and to utilize its medicine, and also be able to take its seeds and plant more trees. Now, there were people called tree whisperers. Now, tree whisperers were people who, were going to help with tree medicine and administer it and learn. These were probably the witch doctors and mystics, and anyone could do it, but mainly the people who were responsible for healing, the healers of the village. Now, they would be sent out for, a given amount of time to spend time with the tree. I'm serious. They would just go out and spend time with the tree, talking to the tree, learning from the tree, touching the tree, and they had to spend time with the tree. And when they came back, they would be armed with knowledge to use the tree medicine to help and heal the village. Now, that's true. It's beautiful. It's true. Now, what's the message? Today, we don't spend much time looking and getting to know the nature that surrounds us in our own backyard. I mean, stop and smell the roses. You've heard that expression before. And that encourages us to be aware of what's around us and try to use that natural medicine or whatever and help others with it, because we're not supposed to keep it. We're supposed to use it to help others. That's our purpose here on this planet, is to learn what we need to learn in order to, when we transition and our spirit leaves our body, in order to go on to the next level of existence, but also to gather the information that we learn to help others. And I'm telling you, the earth is screaming for us to help, because we're killing her. We're killing her. And that's really, it's really something that we should all take a moment and think of what one thing can we do to help our planet? What one thing can we do to learn something from nature to help other people. Do you ever notice that when someone builds a house, it happens a lot. I mean, I've seen this a lot in where my family lived in Alabama, back there in the woods. There would be a house and someone would die and the house would never get knocked down. It would just stay there. It was a little house. And then the earth would reclaim the land, would crawl over the house and go into the house and reclaim it. And eventually the house may rot or whatever, but the earth would grow over it. I'm sure you've seen that, abandoned homes, and the earth reclaims it. As much as we build and if we kill the trees and wipe out forests and stuff, once those buildings become abandoned, then it's very hard for the earth to get reestablished in that area that has been burnt, that has been cleared and cut down, and things like of that nature. So when we consume, we need to replace, and that's the end. That's how I feel. And I know myself, being an African American woman, I haven't heard a lot of African American females talk about this on TV or in the news or anything like that. You always hear people who are a lot of male done it, except I love the Swedish girl who's out there now talking about saving the planet and global warming. I'm biggest cheerleader. But so there's not a whole lot that comes from our community. And I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more color faces saying these things as well. And I'd like to see more people of color saying these things in the community and helping in the community. That would be a lovely thing. All right. I've gone on and on and on. And I've enjoyed talking to all of you. I thank you to all the 13 listeners on air right now and who have text. And I'm sorry that I haven't been able to send you anything, but hello, everyone. And now that I got your attention, I encourage you to visit the website and leave me some comments. I'm going to put the website here I'm typing it right now, spot.com, in the chat there. Visit the website, check out all the information that we have to offer, and look at the other awesome shows that are on. Drop me a message. Give me a recommendation for the show. I always welcome recommendations. And, if you want to have a show guest, fine. There's also some wonderful services and wonderful resources that you can take advantage of. So thank you again all for listening to my ramble of a show, but thank you all. I've enjoyed this first Podbean Live episode, and just thank you. Thank you. Keep up the great work. Share, and blessed be. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to It's All Good, Magic, Mysticism, and Earth Medicine. Visit us anytime at www.magicandmedicine.blogspot.com.